All right, the January 6th committee was back at it today with a seventh day of hearings in their dog and pony show. The Democrats on the committee tried to connect the dots between a tweet former President Trump sent and the violence that took place on January 6th.
Early in the morning of December 19th, the president sent out a tweet urging his followers to travel to Washington, D.C. for January 6th. "Be there, we'll be wild," the president wrote. As my colleague, Mr. Raskin, will describe in detail, this tweet served as a call to action and in some cases as a call to arms.
In the wee hours of December 19th, dissatisfied with his options, Donald Trump decided to call for a large and wild crowd on Wednesday, January 6th, the day when Congress would meet to certify the electoral votes.
Joining us now with reaction to today's hearings, former California Congressman and CEO of the Trump Media Group, Technology Group, Devin Nunes, and former Deputy Assistant to President Trump, Kash Patel. It's also important to note that Kash worked for Congressman Nunes, just to be clear, but the relationship there. I will start with you, Congressman. The Democrats in the committee were clearly aiming to thread that needle and show that Trump's tweet on December 19th incited the violence on the 9th. So in your opinion, were they able to do that?
Well, no, absolutely not. This is a Soviet-style show trial, kangaroo court. There's several words for it, Sean, but this is no different than the rallies that Donald Trump has continued to hold, where he uses social media. Now, remember, he got kicked off of all those other social media platforms, so now he's only on True Social, which he had to go and build because he didn't even have an ability to get his voice out. But if you go to the past, it's very typical for politicians and others to use social media to get people to come to a rally. And I'll just be clear, and I have said this so many times. There are rallies, as you know, Sean, in the Capitol nearly every day. There's rallies, protests, et cetera, et cetera. It's part of our First Amendment rights in this country, our right to free speech. And Donald Trump has been very, very clear. He believes that the election was rigged, plain and simple. And guess what? That is his ability, or that is his right to believe that. And I think if you look at what's happened recently just in Wisconsin, if you look at all the shenanigans that have gone on with absentee ballots around the country, look, this is Americans' right to do this, and why the Democrats would be taking this show trial with, by the way, I should say, a few members that several of those members aren't even going to be back in Congress, and some are likely going to lose, and they're pretending as this, oh my God, that this is some kind of insurrection is just ridiculous.
Kash, I want to play for you a clip from CNN asking voters about the hearings.
Where does January 6th and those hearings fit on the priority list for you?
On the bottom rung to me.
Is getting a little bit lost in the shuffle.
I think it's more of a distraction. What the real reason is why these January 6th hearings are going on, I think is beyond what we're seeing superficially.
All right, so Kash, that's CNN. No friend to the right, no friend to the president. I mean, coming away with the takeaway that voters don't care. Poll after poll is that no one's paying attention. So here's the thing that I think is interesting. Is the best approach by Republicans to ignore this hearing, just sort of pretend they're not happening because clearly no one's paying attention to them and it's not affecting them? Or is a better approach to counter-program them, meaning that they put somebody out there to sort of, to rebut the witnesses, if you will?
Hey, it's great to be with you. And just to make my biases clear, I'm suing CNN for defamation. So if they're saying that, it's got to be true. But look, what I believe is the correct approach is a hybrid approach, Sean. And basically that means, look, when they're putting out lie after lie after lie like they did when Devin and I ran Russiagate, you have to mount the counter-program so the American public has faith in the institution, or at least the bulk of them do. And I've been the subject. I was the first man subpoenaed by the January 6th committee. And I didn't take it down lightly. I didn't take a knee. I didn't say, oh, yeah, whatever you guys want to do. I said the American people has a right to know, as me, Chief of Staff of the Department of Defense, how we acted appropriately on January 4, 5, and 6, to include President Trump's authorization of the National Guard that Nancy Pelosi and Mayor Bowser refused. Those facts, that sort of, maybe if you want to kind of counter-programming, must be put out there. But the rest of the noise, the Cassidy Hutchinsons, the testimony by guys like Pat Cipollone, who can't see further than his own shoelace, That stuff does not need to be aired prime time. And as CNN just showed us, nobody cares.
You know, Congressman, we kind of had a variation of this conversation the last time that you were on, but I want to bring it back up to another degree. I mean, to this date, we've not really heard from any senior law enforcement officials from the Capitol Police. We haven't heard from either the Senate or the House Sergeant-at-Arms who are in charge of security. In fact, one of the Sergeant-at-Arms, I think the House the Senate Sergeant, has subsequently passed away. And so the question is, who are the key folks that we need to hear from to understand what security lapses happened that day, and so that we prevent them from happening again?
Well, look, and I think the other thing that's now come out is that there was intelligence ahead of time that the Capitol Police should have known, which clearly Kash over at the White House, they knew, which is why President Trump authorized National Guard troops. And Sean, you've been in Washington a long time, and matter of fact, you and I used to work together way back in the day when you were the comms director for the Republicans. And you know, every single time there was a protest or a rally, which is the norm, there would be fencing that would go up, and there would be added protection that would come around. So here you have, there's tens of thousands of people coming, and you do nothing. And this is the question that Nancy Pelosi is going to have to answer to, because paybacks are going to be, if Republicans are successful this November, this actually needs to continue. These investigations are going to need to continue, except it's going to be based on what did the DOJ know? Were they coordinating with these corrupt members of Congress who are running a kangaroo show trial, something that is unprecedented in the U.S. Congress's history? And I think that Pelosi, I'm not sure where she'll be. She probably won't be Speaker. Is she going to continue to serve in the House? Because she took that unprecedented step, actually, of subpoenaing sitting members of Congress for information. And remember, I'm the one, and Kash will remember this, some of these cast of characters that are sitting on this committee released my own phone records, similarly to how they're doing this now, where they selectively leak something that turned into a total fake news story based on partial releases of my own documents, and I was a sitting member of Congress. So These are really bad, evil people. And I think a lot of them are not going to win their reelection.
Yes.
And some of them are likely not going to serve on committees next year, because if the Republicans have the majority, like I said, paybacks are going to be very tough. And I think in this case, you can make a very good case for some of these characters that should be nowhere near Congress and nowhere near intelligence files.
Yeah. Kash, in 10 seconds.
And you can decide who I'm referring to with that, Sean.
And Kevin McCarthy has told us on this air that he intends to ensure that does occur. Kash, in 10 seconds, who are the three people that, if Congressman Nunes is right, they need to call?
Adam Schiff, Nancy Pelosi, and Raskin. Oh, easy day, all day long. Subpoena their phone records. They leaked mine, too, so I'm ready for the revenge of truth to come about.
Good for that. Congressman Nunes, Kash Patel, thank you both very much.